Do you know that as much as you like to write your long story and your copy on your website, people these days don't actually read your copy? They scan the website. Seriously, when was the last time you actually visited a website and read every single word on that page? If like most people, you don't. You form an impression, you let the webpage form an impression of what they are selling. You read probably the headlines and scroll to the bottom to find out the price of the product or service, right? So that's why you need to write or design your copy for scannability. And here's 4 tips. The first tip is use your headlines. So when you separate out, when you format your copy as headlines, some parts of headlines, you bring attention to that particular sentence. And when you do that, these lines act as like signposts, to say that, okay, this section is where you talk about the benefits, or this section is where you talk about pricing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so headlines. Number 2, keep your paragraphs short. And I would generally recommend maybe the maximum of 3 sentences per paragraph. And keep the maximum of 9 words maximum in a line. This allows people to scan your website easily. Imagine one side, a chunk of text. Instantly, that's a turn off for you to read, right? But if you break up one chunky paragraph into 3 smaller paragraphs, each just 1 line each, then it'll be so much easier for you to consume. The third thing is to use lists and bold the important text so that you can bring attention to the correct words in your copy. So for example, instead of having a sentence to say that, benefits like, okay, or let's say you're listing down your services, and you say you do web design, you do web development, and you do web marketing. Instead of putting that everything into one line, consider putting that into a list, even if it's just 3 items. That makes it much easier for people to read and to scan. And instantly, because there are 3 bullets, it's so much easier for people to know that there are 3 items. And the last point is use images and white space to break up the copy so that there's a bit more breathing space in all your text. So I always think that there are 2 types of images. One is the images that you need to have inside the copy because that is part of your content. And then there are images which support your copy. So when you're talking about benefits of your products and services, on one side you might have your content, one small paragraph, maybe 3 bullet points, and then another small paragraph to end that section. And on the right side, maybe you have an image of a smiling potential customer, to support that copy. So these are the 4 tips I have for you today for making your website copy easier to scan. When you make your website copy easier to scan, easier on the eyes for your reader, then it's easier for them to consume and easier for them to understand what you are offering so that they can get on board with you. See you tomorrow.